Kim. Today we are talking about fear is quietly making your decisions. Since lately, we've been noticing a pattern in a lot of messages we've been getting. Different situations, different ages, different lives, but underneath so many of these messages is the same emotional tension. Fear of changing, fear of choosing wrong, fear of ruining your life, fear of disappointing people, fear of outgrowing the version of yourself everyone is comfortable with. And I think a lot of people don't even realize how much fear quietly starts shaping their decisions over time.
The first email we wanted to talk about was from Morgan, and the subject is, I've outgrown my life. Hey, Ken and Kim. I've been listening to your podcast for the last few weeks, and honestly, I feel like a lot of what you talk about has been hitting me pretty hard lately. I'm 38, I'm married, I have 2 kids, and from the outside, my life probably looks completely normal. I have a stable job, we own a house, we're doing okay financially, nothing is technically wrong, but internally, I feel really disconnected from myself lately. And I don't even know when it started. I think I got so busy surviving and being responsible for everyone else that I stopped asking myself whether I actually liked my life anymore. Every day kind of feels the same now. Wake up tired, go to work, come home exhausted, repeat. And the weird part is, I feel guilty even saying this out loud because I know a lot of people would probably be grateful to have the life I have. My husband is a good person, my kids are amazing, but something inside of me feels shut down. Lately, I keep thinking about making changes somehow. Maybe changing careers, maybe starting something for myself, maybe just doing something different. But every single time I think about actually changing my life, I panic. Because my brain starts going, what if you ruin everything? What if you're just being ungrateful? What if you blow up a perfectly fine life chasing some feeling that doesn't even exist? And honestly, I can't tell if this feeling is my intuition trying to wake me up, or if I'm just emotionally burnt out and restless. So I guess my question is, how do you know when you've genuinely outgrown your life versus when you're just uncomfortable because growth feels unfamiliar?
What I heard Morgan say, my life looks okay externally, but internally I don't feel connected to myself anymore.
This one resonates for me deeply, poor Morgan, because I feel like I was stuck in that place for so long. I feel like most of my adult life I was stuck in that same place, different scenarios, but same
Feeling?
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like I was stuck at a job that was very unfulfilling. I knew I wanted more, but I knew I needed the security of the job and the paycheck. I kept going around and around for years doing the research and just planning and thinking, and I was just like stuck in analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
And I was letting the fear control me and keep me stuck. I didn't know if I should go back to school or if we should start a different business or if I should get a different job or even really what I wanted. We had our marriage, we had 2 kids, and I was just stuck day after day for I was in that job, that particular job for almost 10 years.
She needs clarity in her path. And like you said, Kim, you were stuck. You were in the same spot, trying to do the work, trying to find something that excites you. I think at this point in her life, one of the good things is that it seems like she has stability, which is great. And she doesn't want to disrupt that. And I wouldn't recommend to disrupt that. She needs to talk with her husband. Hey, I need maybe change careers, or like she said, I need to start something new, maybe a hobby, maybe join a group. So it seems to me that she have to write down the things that really excite her. Have this small list and find a little bit of energy at night, because she also said that she's exhausted, but she needs to find a little bit of time at night and write down things that she might be able to pursue. She doesn't have to go all in, but I think communication with the family is very important before so she feels kind of, okay, my family knows that I'm about to do something different and I'm going to get a little bit of my comfort zone, but it's okay because she's working through her own challenges.
Yeah, well, her fear is obviously keeping her stuck, which was my problem as well. I just didn't want to make the wrong decision. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a planner. I like to plan. And that was keeping me stuck. And it kind of sounds like, I mean, we don't have a lot of information other than what I just read on her life, but it sounds like that, she's letting those fears also keep her stuck. And that's really relatable. So I think in addition to kind of making a list and seeing what lights her up and excites her, the best move would be to kind of go down the list and like, okay, if something was on your list, well, like maybe I want to go back to school to be a nurse. Like that's something maybe she's always thought about. I'm just using it as an example. Or maybe she wanted to have a business, a fruit stand,
Mhm.
whatever. But the thing would be to like kind of put them in order of what excites her and start at the top of the list. Like, okay, well, nursing has always been something she was interested in, let's say. So take a nursing course, dip your toe in the water. If it's appealing to you, keep moving forward. If it's not, go back to your list and say, oh, okay, well, that nursing class really sucked. So let me jump on my fruit stand idea. And what would it take to start growing my own fruits and vegetables? What would that look like? And start planting some fruits and vegetables. You don't have to go all in and just say, today I'm going to quit my job and start a fruit and vegetable stand when I know nothing about it, never tried it, don't know if I like it. It's
Yeah,
just like the one step that will get you unstuck.
right. Like for us back in 2014, when we knew that we wanted to do something different. And I remember when we got together talking about that we wanted to start a business. We didn't know what kind of business, but we wanted to be business owners. We wanted the opportunity. And I remember you and I getting together, going online, checking for business opportunities, SBA loans, what's in the market, what's new, what's working, what's growing. So we made a decision. That's what we wanted to do. And if your husband wants to jump in the idea, and again, doesn't necessarily have to be business related, right? It could be maybe that could be also a hobby, right?
Hmm.
You just need to put the idea in paper first. And you need to, when you see it and when you're writing it down, you have to be excited.
Right.
Because if it doesn't really excite you at night or when you're writing it down and thinking to execute the idea, that's not it.
Right. Or,
If you
and yeah,
force it, if it doesn't come natural, that's not it.
right. And that's a good point. Like maybe it's not a new job that she needs. Maybe it is just a hobby that she needs. Maybe,
Mhm. Connection, social life.
right. So maybe she lost herself. Like so many moms out there just lose themselves in their children because their world has been consumed by kids and all their activities and running around to soccer practice, dance class, and this and that, and school activities. And moms lose themselves in that. And then they stop focusing on themselves when in reality, like, this is your life too.
Right.
So explore what some potential hobbies would look like.
Right. Because she says right here also that I'm reading it, Kim. She says that every single time I think about actually changing my life, I panic. So she is afraid to disrupt her life. That's what I said, that she needs to make a plan. She needs to overcome her fears. She needs to make a list. She needs to see it and get excited.
Yeah.
And it would be excited. Actually, from panic to excitement is just a step, right? After she just make up her mind, start with her husband and kids, and start moving, things are gonna really work out for her.
Right. And that will answer a lot of her questions. She said, like, what if her brain kept going to like, what if you ruin everything? Well, like if you're just taking the steps one step at a time, you can't ruin everything. Like you're just taking a class or starting a hobby or testing the waters or growing your fruit, whatever that looks like.
You don't want to do like an abrupt change because yeah, everyone is gonna feel it.
And then her other question in there or that her brain keeps spiraling on is what if you're just being ungrateful? But there's nothing ungrateful about doing things that matter to you or provide fulfillment for you.
Right.
There's nothing ungrateful about that. Just because you're a wife and a mom does not mean that you don't deserve to want more out of life.
Exactly. And I guarantee you that your husband and your kids want to see you happy.
Of course.
There is no reason to be afraid you're gonna disappoint or you're going to, you know, they're not gonna think that you're ungrateful or anything like that.
And the other question that she said her brain keeps spiraling her about is what if you blow up a perfectly fine life chasing some feeling that doesn't even exist? And my answer to that is there's there has to be a feeling that exists if she's questioning it. So I think, her ultimate question, how do you know when you've genuinely outgrown your life versus when you're just uncomfortable because growth feels unfamiliar? I think both of those things can be true at the same time. I think you can definitely have outgrown your life. For example, that I just used, being a mom, being a wife, and you kind of lose yourself in those roles. You can outgrow that a little bit, like meaning your kids are older now, they don't need you as much. Your husband works and he has his own hobbies and whatnot. And so like you're not lost in that wife mother role as you were before.
Right.
You can kind of, you go through those stages in your life, and maybe you're at a stage now where you're looking for the next step. So, yeah, that you can outgrow that. And you can also be uncomfortable because growth feels unfamiliar,
Yeah.
because growth is uncomfortable and
Right.
scary and all those things.
Exactly.
So, I think that both of those things can be true at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you still need to take the steps to test the water and see what you like. Find
Exactly.
yourself, find your new stage of life.
Exactly.
Yeah. The next email we wanted to read was from Andrew, and the subject line is Fear of Choosing Wrong. Hey, Ken and Kim. I'm 29 and I honestly feel completely stuck in life right now. Not because I don't want change, but because I can't stop overthinking every possible outcome. I've spent the last few years trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with my life, and instead of getting clarity, I feel more confused than ever. Part of me wants to start my own business. Part of me wants to move somewhere new. Part of me wants to go back to school. But every option feels risky. And I think the real truth is I'm terrified of choosing wrong. Like I have this fear that if I make the wrong decision, I'm going to waste years of my life or ruin my future somehow. So instead, I just stay stuck researching, thinking, planning, consuming content, listening to podcasts, but never fully committing to anything. And honestly, I'm starting to feel embarrassed by how long I've been in this cycle. I watch other people moving forward with their lives while I feel frozen trying to make the perfect decision. So I guess my question is, how do you stop overthinking every possible outcome and actually trust yourself enough to move forward?
Wow. Well, this guy is talking about starting a business, moving somewhere new, or go back to school.
Right.
3 different routes.
Very different options.
Yeah. So, and I think I spoke with you offline, Kim. Like, what would you think about to start a business and thinking about moving out of state or moving somewhere new? So, this one is a little tricky because it seems like you need clarity here. He's all over the place. When it seems like this person is very bored. Like I need some new excitement. I need a big change, right? Like if you think about it, if you start a business, it's a different beast and move somewhere new, you got to pack and start a new life, right? Or go back to school. So you need to define out what actually makes you excited. Because if you like, oh yeah, but I want to start a business, but and then in a month you're like, oh yeah, but I want to move. Like, no,
Mm.
you need to define what do you want to do, And I remember when I moved to the US back in 2009, I was like, I'm living in the US, but I want to leave. I don't know if I want to stay here or if I want to go back to Colombia.
I remember those days very well.
So things doesn't really work like that. You need to really pinpoint, okay, are you staying or are you leaving? So are you starting a business? And then really find what kind of business are you going to start? Remove the fears, right? Remove the wanting to be somewhere else. That's never going to work out. Never, ever going to work out if you want to go somewhere else, right? Or if you want to go somewhere else, just go, you know, and then start something new there or so. That's for my personal experience and my personal approach. That you have to be certain that you want to do that. And the same way we did when we moved to Arizona, from Connecticut to Arizona, we made the decision, okay, we're moving to Arizona. We're selling our restaurants, we're selling our home, we're going, and we're starting something new. So you need to define the path, what actually makes you excited. Now, you also said here about going back to school. Maybe going back to school could be actually something that you go to school for 2 or 3 years. You're not going to waste time. You mentioned here that you're afraid to waste time. Going back to school, you're not going to waste any time because you're going to learn.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've been stuck for a while. So really you're just wasting time worrying about wasting time rather than momentum and movement. Like take the first step and try the course. Like I was saying about Morgan in the first email, like she needs to take the step, try it out first, see if you like it, see if you don't like it, see, you'll meet somebody that puts you on a different path or like a million different scenarios could play out, right? You need to take the step. You need to get moving instead of just staying stuck because ultimately you're wasting time.
Right. Another thing, you say, I feel frozen trying to make the perfect decision. There's no perfect decision.
Right.
The decision is not going to be perfect.
The decision is to move forward in some way, in some small way. It doesn't have to be the ultimate right decision, but you're letting fear hold you back and trapped and stuck.
The decision is actually walking you into the unknown. And then it's up to you if that was the perfect decision, a bad decision, or
Right,
mediocre.
wrong.
Yeah, you just
That's
have to do it.
ultimately your decision when you get there, but you won't know until you try.
Exactly. It's hard because, again, you mentioned business, you mentioned move somewhere new, go back to school. What's perfect?
Right.
But yeah, just pinpoint what gets you really excited and then just go for it.
Yeah, it goes back to your example about us buying the restaurants. It's like we learned, we didn't know if that was the perfect decision, right?
Hmm.
We had no idea, but we're researching businesses and all types, gas stations, restaurants,
Liquor stores.
liquor stores, laundromats. We were looking at the whole gamut. And we had no idea what the right decision was, the perfect decision, but we knew we wanted to be business owners. So we just kind of found one, moved forward with researching it and started digging in. And then we decided ultimately, like, yeah, let's move forward. And if we had stayed stuck questioning, well, is this the perfect business? We never would have taken that leap. We never would have gained that experience.
Exactly.
Ultimately, if you know our story, that decision ended up costing us 2 restaurants that we could never turn around. They were failing restaurants when we bought them. We couldn't turn them around like we thought we could. But ultimately, that's just a part of our story, part of our history. We learned a lot. We lost a lot of money, but
Hmm.
we had some very humbling experiences through that.
Yep.
And now we know how to own and run businesses because of that experience.
Exactly.
The business failed, yes, but you can't
Like you said, it was
put
an
a price
expensive
tag.
education.
Yeah, you can't put a price tag on what we learned from it because now we use it running our current businesses. So,
Yeah. Some people waste years trying to avoid wasting time. And don't do that. Again, just try to get some clarity today. Write it down. Write down what excites you. And then get excited. Picture yourself doing that. And then just move forward. You're 29, and I think you have plenty of time to figure it out. But yeah, so it's time to move forward.
yep. All right. The third email we're going to talk about today is from Lisa. And the subject line is I don't feel like the same person anymore. Hey, Ken and Kim. I've been going through a lot of personal growth over the last year or so. And honestly, I feel like I'm changing pretty drastically as a person. I'm thinking differently. I'm taking better care of myself. I'm becoming more intentional about my life. But something I wasn't expecting is how uncomfortable it's become with some of the people around me. It almost feels like certain people in my life are more comfortable with the old version of me. The version that stayed small. The version that people pleased. The version that never challenged anything. And now when I set boundaries or talk about wanting more for my life, I sometimes feel guilt or resistance from people around me. And honestly, part of me feels guilty too. Like I'm abandoning who I used to be, or maybe becoming too much somehow. I'm wondering if you guys ever struggled with feeling uncomfortable, becoming a different version of yourselves, especially when other people expected you to stay the same.
Everyone evolves at a different speed, at a different rate. And this happened to us too, Kim.
Oh, for sure. I could have written this myself, actually, in
Yeah.
the last year, 2 years that I've becoming a totally different version of myself.
Yeah, you're evolving and you're going through this growth momentum. And now they're falling behind. And now you feel guilty. We talk about this, Kim, that for us, like, all right, we need to move up. And it's not to be, you don't want to be selfish because I'm pretty sure you love your friends or your family or, the people around you. But sometimes that's what happens in life. And it's not fair to you if you're feeling like, hey,
I want more. It's not fair to you if you want more. It's not fair for you to shrink yourself and stay stuck
mhm,
and not growing just because the people that are in your life don't want the same.
you're feeling like sometimes you want to, let's say, just go to a nice place or a different place. And then your friends doesn't want to go. Your family doesn't want to go. They judge you. Why are you going there? Or maybe they want to go to a different restaurant or a different park and you feel like not going. You feel like you're wasting your time, right? Like you don't belong to the park per se anymore, right? Like, no, I'm going to the gym instead.
Mm,
I'm going to meet this new group that I just met that they're working about something different,
yeah.
And then now you're skipping those old moments that you used to have with them. And that's when they started judging you. But if you get this new calling, it's like a new calling, right? Like a new momentum, like a new fire happening in you. You just have to go with it. So we always go through identity evolution. Right? Like I said, your circle, they won't see it. Maybe one or two, but the majority, your family, cousins, neighbors, they won't see it. And you are be prepared for some emotional loneliness during your growth. You have to embrace that. But that will be just temporary. You're gonna find new friends or you're gonna find new things to do as you walk through this new version of yourself.
Yeah, transformation definitely changes relationships. I know that we have dealt with that for sure with friends and family. They don't really, I'm not going to say they don't like, well, some don't like it, but they're just, you can't relate anymore to certain people.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody close to you, like a parent or a sibling or somebody that's important in your life, and you're not willing to give up that relationship, then of course the relationship has to change,
Yeah.
right? Like the dynamic of it a little bit. Like, so for example, my dad and I, are not always on the same page about like entrepreneurship, for example. Like my dad is very much, not that he's against it, but he's fearful, right, for me. So
Right.
he's always scared for me if I'm starting a new business or if I don't have a secure job or whatever. He gets very scared for me, but ultimately that's what I want in my life. So I have to separate the two a little bit. I don't tell him everything I'm doing with my business because it scares him and he'll lose sleep over it.
Right.
So you have to kind of be willing to share parts of your life that people are comfortable with.
Right.
And I'm not saying to dim your own light or anything like that, but know your audience, know who you're speaking to. So like if I want to talk business, I go to my husband or my mom, because my mom is very business oriented. But I would never go to my dad and tell
Yeah.
him these scary parts of business because he would be too scared for me. Then he projects those fears onto me and it just causes this uncomfortable feeling. So you have to know your audience.
Right. Yeah. People are going to start resisting your growth.
Yeah.
You just have to, you don't have to show this new persona, the next week. Oh, well, this is the new me and I don't hang out with you guys anymore or I just don't talk about these things anymore. No, you just have to know your boundaries
Yeah.
because you're getting into a new, like a social conditioning per se.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you're evolving, right? And we all have the right to move forward, to step into something new. And if they're not stepping into this new reality at the same time with you, it's because they're not ready yet.
Right. And you can't force them to be ready, and that's fine. And some people you may have to cut out of your life, right? Like, I'm not talking about, well, I mean, it all depends on how important the relationship is to you. But some friends may be keeping you stuck. Some circles, groups that you hang out with, maybe they're keeping you stuck, and you have to be willing to let go of those circles.
She says something very interesting here, Kim. I'm thinking differently. I'm taking better care of myself. I'm becoming more intentional about my life. Just stepping up.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what I was going to say is,
people don't like to see that. Like, oh, what are you doing? We
no,
used to go McDonald's 2 times a week. What's
right.
up with
That's
you?
what I was going to say is,
You know?
if she's trying to take better care of herself, you don't want to hang out with the people that are eating at McDonald's every day or,
Yeah.
all the fast food junk.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with the people that are going all organic and
Mhm.
home cooked meals and new recipes and fresh ingredients and smoothies for breakfast or whatever,
Yeah.
just like healthy stuff. You want people that are on the same path.
Right.
So again, you don't have to abandon people that are not stepping in the same direction as you, but you could slowly start pivoting
Mhm.
oh, okay, well, let me join a group that for healthy organic people or people that grow their own food, whatever that looks like for you. And you start making new connections and building a life within that new group. And that doesn't mean you have to leave the old group, but eventually those relationships may change. They may fade. They may fizzle out, and that's okay. But
Right.
like you said, it doesn't have to happen next week and just like a definitive decision. Nope, I'm going to do this now and
Mhm.
go with this new group. Like it doesn't have to be like that blunt and that,
Yep.
hurtful, if you will. You can slowly fizzle out a relationship if it's no longer serving you.
Right. One last thing. You also said it almost feels like certain people in my life are more comfortable with the old version of me, the version that people pleased.
Of
Man,
course. Of course they're comfortable with
yeah.
that.
No.
You
Yeah.
pleased them. You were
Exactly.
pleasing them all along. So yes, they're going to be comfortable with that version and it's going to make them very uncomfortable when you
Exactly.
start setting boundaries.
Exactly. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be a people pleaser anyways. That's no
No.
way to live.
And that would drain your energies.
Yeah,
So
for
I can
sure.
only imagine.
Yeah. I went through a very close relationship of mine where I had to start setting boundaries and it was really difficult. It was
Yeah.
really hard and that person did not want to respect my boundaries and it caused a huge rift in our relationship. But a very close person, I had to keep my boundaries. We went back and forth with it for like a year. Like I'm not wanting to respect my boundaries and it got ugly.
Yeah.
But you have to trust that it's going to work out for the best in the end and just stay true to who you are and the boundaries that you're setting. You're setting those boundaries for a reason because they're important to you, whatever it is. And it doesn't, the person doesn't have to agree with your boundaries. Your boundaries are your boundaries for a reason.
Exactly.
So all three of these emails actually tie back to an episode that we did on fear. And we provided a framework that was called the Fear Trap Framework. And just as a recap, because I feel like this would be really helpful for all three of these emailers and anyone listening, because I know a lot of us get stuck with fear holding us back.
Yep.
And step one of the framework is name the fear. A lot of us don't even take the time to really feel what is driving our emotions, what's underneath those fears that these emailers were listing, right? What specifically are you afraid will happen? Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of rejection, embarrassment, financial instability, wasting time. Those are big ones for people.
Yeah.
So you want to name your fear. Step two, examine the story. Is this reality, what you're telling yourself? The stories that you're telling yourself, is this reality or is it catastrophic thinking? Is your life going to blow up like some of the emailers were saying? Like, are they going to ruin their life if they try something new? No, you're not going to ruin your life. Just do it in a methodical manner or, a planned out manner.
Right.
Step three of the framework, prepare for the worst. And this one, I always give a little caveat about it. Don't get lost in this step. You don't want to just be thinking worst case scenarios, but you do want to be prepared for the worst.
Right.
If the worst happened, how could you recover? So you want to have an exit plan, right? Like if something exploded, how are you getting out of it? If our businesses failed, how would we get out of it? Well, there was many options how we could have gotten out of it, right? You just have to have our lives were not going to be over if our business failed.
Nothing is catastrophic.
No, if you think about it,
Yeah,
other than, like death, that's catastrophic. But you trying a new business or going back to school or moving out of state or
starting a new hobby or moving out of the circle that you used to love.
Right. Those things are not catastrophic.
No, you're going to be fine.
Right. Step number 4, count the cost. And this has to do with what is staying the same costing you. You're staying in jobs that you hate, regret. You're not getting these experiences that you can learn from. It's costing you time.
Mhm.
That was a big one in all three of the emails is people were like afraid to waste time,
Yeah.
right?
Analysis paralysis,
Right.
just wasting time.
Which is where I was stuck for so many years. I'm talking decades. I was
Yeah.
stuck in that fear of wasting my time. But ultimately, my fear came true, right?
Yeah.
I wasted decades of my life feeling stuck because
Mhm.
I was scared of not making the perfect decision.
Yeah, write it down. Write it down. The first thing that you write down, write 20 things. For me, writing stuff down, I know some people are like, oh, I don't feel like writing anything down. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just
I don't
writing.
either. I hate writing things down, but it's powerful.
It is powerful because the first thing you write down, the first thing that comes to your head, that's your calling. That's the
Well, it
way I
should be
see
a
it.
sign to at
It's a
least,
sign. Like,
look
okay,
into it and really, see why it came up and why it's resonating for you.
yeah. And that one is probably the most, it's going to be more challenging, but it's going to be more rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it.
Yep. And step 5, and this is the most important, move anyways.
Yeah.
Don't continue staying stuck. Move anyways. Momentum. Try the thing. Try the class. Try growing the garden. Try the business. Try moving out of state. Like, try the thing, because the worst case is you can always undo what you've done. You
Right.
moved out of state and you don't like it, move back.
Mm-hmm.
You started a business, you don't like it,
Reset
sell it,
pivot,
pivot.
partner with somebody else.
You don't like the courses that you're taking,
Mm.
try some different courses,
Mhm.
meet some different people, join a different group. Like, you can always change things.
Yeah.
There is nobody saying you, just because you tried something, you have to live with it now and you have
Right.
to do the thing.
Yep. You gotta get moving. Maybe the goal isn't to eliminate fear completely. Maybe the real goal is to stop letting fear quietly decide your future.
And if you guys are enjoying these listener style episodes, send us your questions, because chances are, if you're feeling it, somebody else probably is too.
That's right.
If this episode resonated with you or helped you in any way, we'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to go deeper, we created something for you. Head over to kenandkimpodcast.com, where you can get access to our full library of rebuild guides. These are step-by-step tools designed to help you actually apply what we talk about here. And if you want to connect with us, join our private Facebook community, The Rebuild Room, where we're having real conversations about rebuilding your life. We'll see you in the next episode.